Style, play number 5 in the Pet Stylist Playbook.
If you're doing a contour trim because the dog is matted, you would want to pre-shave it before your bath. We're going to just do a quick rough pass to get all of this extra coat off, and then we're going to go to the tub to bathe him. For a contour trim, you can use any blade length. For Toby, I'm going to use a 10. We're going to start just behind the occiput. And even though I'm going super short, I'm still gonna follow the natural pattern of hair growth and clipper with the direction of the coat. Toby seemed a little bit uncomfortable when I was picking up his front leg, so instead of picking up the leg that I'm clippering on, I want to just pick up the opposite leg to get the access that I need to shave the inside. These blades tend to heat up pretty quickly, especially on a high-powered clipper, so you always want to have a second blade of the same length to switch to make sure that you're always using a cool blade on the dog. When we're pre-shaving on a dog, the purpose is not to get a perfectly smooth, even haircut. It's just to take the bulk of the length off before we get the dog in the bath to ensure that we're not overspending time bathing, drying, or wasting product on extra hair. One area that we generally do not want to pre-shave is the sanitary. Dogs tend to have dried feces, urine, or other contaminants in the hair in their sanitary area. And not only is that harder on your equipment, that's a pretty easy area to get clean, and it won't cause any extra pulling or discomfort on the dog. The last thing that I'm going to pre-shave before our bath is going to be the top of his head and maybe around his chin. I do not want to get the eye area before the bath because it would be a lot harder to get the blade through that area and cause pulling and potentially discomfort for the dog. When I'm clippering on the head, I want to make sure, even at this short length, that I'm following the direction that the hair grows. So you can see how his hair is naturally laying, and I want to use my clipper to go in the same direction that the hair is naturally going to grow. And this ensures that I'm not going to make any short spots because he has a cowlick or I'm accidentally going against the grain. When I'm using a blade around the areas of the neck or anywhere that there's folds of skin, I'm always cautious that the folds of skin don't go between the teeth of the clipper. That is how you can nick a dog with a clipper. So when you're doing these short haircuts all over, pay attention to where the dog may have flaps of skin, like the belly, the chest, even around their jowls or around the ears. And I'm shaving right up to his ear canal, but I'm going to clean that area out later, right in front of his ear canal with a 40 blade. So that's it for my pre-bath rough pass. We're going to trim his face shorter after the bath, as well as his ears and his tail, but I'm not going to go as short as the 10 blade on the ears and tail, so that's why I'm going to leave them. We're going to get them nice and clean before I touch them with the clippers. You ready? Are you ready to get clean? Okay, Toby is washed and dried. He had his sanitary done and his paw pads done, and now I'm going to finish his contour trim with my 5-in-1 clipper. This one is not as powerful as the regular cordless or corded clipper, but it leaves a really nice finish. You have multiple blade lengths. I usually like to use this for pads and sanitary eye trims because you can switch between multiple blades without having to take the blade off. But I really like this for small dogs if you're going to do a short haircut because of the size of the clipper, it's really easy to pivot and move this around like the small tight areas. So we're just going to go over the body again, and I'm going to use a 10 on my cordless. And for his body, this is going to be my final pass. And I'm just avoiding the areas that have warts. I'm paying attention to those so that I don't accidentally nick them with a clipper blade. And when I'm shaving his legs, I want to make sure that I'm going all the way down to the foot. I don't need to leave a ton of hair on the toes. I'm shaving all the way to the nail. And then I will clean these little Grinch hairs up with shears. When you're clippering on a dog's back leg, they have their Achilles tendon right here, and then there's like a little cave in between the front of the knee and the Achilles tendon. So what I do is use my finger to push lightly just to fill this area in, and then I clipper to make sure that I'm not leaving long pieces of hair in that little concave area. And you can do the same thing for the inside as well. Now I'm just moving forward. And one of the things to pay attention to when you're doing a contour trim or any blade length on the dog's body, the amount that you pivot your clippers plays a big role in what kind of finish you're gonna get and how much hair is being cut from the dog. Because this is the point on the blade that the hair is being cut. When you have longer teeth, you have to pivot at a different angle to feed the hair into the clipper. And as you go along the side of the dog's three-dimensional body, you need to continue to pivot. Don't just go straight down. You pivot your clipper and go around the shape of the dog's body. For the armpit, I like to slide my fingers around the dog's elbow and rotate this flap of skin out. And then I will shave towards me, not towards the dog, to make sure that I don't cut that flap of skin. And that is how you get a nice clean armpit. I remember from earlier he wasn't super comfortable having this leg lifted. I'm gonna see if I go slowly and give him a heads up, if he'll let me pick up this leg. Good boy, Toby. Good boy. Yay, you're doing a good job. I'm just rotating the arm out. He's still in a natural position. I'm not stretching him or his leg in a way that's uncomfortable. I'm switching positions and I'm trying to support his leg from underneath while I get the top of this foot. It's okay, Bubba. Giving him a minute to adjust to a more comfortable position for him, and then I'm just gonna continue working. I'm holding my fingers around his ankle. I'm not squeezing his foot or his ankle. And I'm just giving him a minute to get more comfortable. We're gonna shave all the way down the top of the foot to the nail. We're gonna try to repeat the process on this leg. Move slowly and just give him a moment to adjust. Okay, Bubba. Okay. Good boy. Good job. He seems a lot more relaxed now. He's definitely letting me shave his leg. I'm just letting him move if he needs to. I don't want to fight with him. I would lose. Or we would both lose. I just want to take it slow and work with him in a way that's comfortable for him so that it's a more pleasant experience for both of us. He's definitely more sensitive around the foot than the top of the leg, so I'm anticipating that he might need to move around or he might need a moment before I can finish this leg. It's okay. Taking a second to move to another spot just to see, so that he knows just because I'm holding your leg doesn't mean that I'm gonna shave it. Gonna do a little more, move on again, and keep coming back to it until I'm done. I'm pretty happy with the front of the leg, and I think I can just do the back of the leg with him standing up without moving it too much. I'm just checking the back of the other leg because I'm in a better position to see it. And then I'm just gonna finish shaving the other side of his body. All the way up to the back of the ear. I'm lifting the opposite leg so that I can get a better angle on the inside of this back leg. But I'm making sure that I'm keeping it in a natural and comfortable position. And then we're just gonna shave all the way down the top of the foot. I'm gonna lift his front legs just to check the underline. Being really, really careful of the flap of skin in the middle of his belly, and just double checking my sanitary to make sure he has a nice even cut. He doesn't have any long pieces of hair hanging anywhere. And then I'm going to gently set him down. Even when you do a shaved foot, you're still going to have to go over them with scissors just to make sure that you have all the long pieces trimmed out. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to stand him up, and I'm going to take my curved shears and just scoop from underneath around the sides and the front of the foot to get those long pieces. I'm going to lift up the foot from the back just to make sure I don't have anything hanging over the pad or hanging down on the sides of the foot. My last step will be brushing up the hair in between the toes. And you can trim that with curved shears or thinning shears. I'm going to use thinners just to give a little bit of a softer finish. And that is your contour foot. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the back, making sure nothing's hanging over the pad and trimming around the outside of the foot, getting anything that touches the ground. And this back foot was a little ticklish, so I just lifted his front legs. I'm gonna brush up the hair in between the toes, and this foot I will trim with curved shears just to show you the difference. Continue with his face. We've already started shaving it before his bath, and I'm just going to continue to work in the same pattern that I did before, moving with the direction that the hair grows. I really like using a 5-in-1 clipper on the face because it's quieter. Usually the dogs are more comfortable with it. He's really sensitive around his eyes and his mouth. So we're just gonna go slow and hope that we can make him comfortable. Even if you're shaving the face, I would leave a little bit of hair on the chin, just in case you need to hold the chin hair for a little bit of extra control. If you shave that all off, the only options that you have for holding are to point your finger and your thumb around the corners of the jaw. There's no pressure underneath here, but I do have some control with my finger and my thumb. Or your other option is holding the chin and the top of the head or lightly around the muzzle. But using the chin is the easiest and most secure way. So I would just leave yourself some chin hair if you can. We're gonna do the eyes now. So what I wanna do is pull the skin tight on his forehead. So I'm gonna use a 9 on my 5-in-1 clipper and just scoop inside the stop area with that skin stretched. A lot of dogs aren't super comfortable with this, some are, but just anticipate that there might be some movement and be ready to move your clipper away just in case there is. I'm going to continue cleaning up the hair on his forehead. Good boy. He's being very good and very, very cooperative, so we're very grateful for that. Good boy, Toby. Now we're just going to continue shaving the face, being aware of the eyes, and ready to move away if the dog fights. It's a little bit harder to get this eye area really clean on a dog that has a shorter nose as opposed to something like shaving the face on a poodle. So if you have to go in with thinning shears or something like that just to clean up that area, that's totally fine. It's okay, buddy. And I know he's not a huge fan. We're just doing what we can. That's okay, buddy. You're a good boy. Okay. And if I'm shaving towards the muzzle instead of away from the muzzle, I'm just keeping in mind that he might stick his tongue out. So I have to be ready to move away. And if there's anything that you can't safely get with clippers, it's totally okay to go back in and use shears. So I'm gonna just do a tiny, tiny bit of scissoring, but this is what he looks like with a shaved face. I'm gonna use my thinning shears just to get this line a little bit neater because he has like a fold of skin. It's a little bit difficult to get in there with the clippers, especially when he's not a huge fan of it. And then I just wanna clean up some of these areas that didn't get as neat as I would like with the clippers. The reason that it's okay to switch to scissors is that sometimes dogs are just really uncomfortable about having the vibration of the clippers in their face. That's why I try to use the 5-in-1s if I can because it's quieter, but some dogs it still doesn't help, and the better and safer option is to scissor it. So this is Toby with a shaved face. Now we're gonna do the ears and tail with a guard comb. They are not matted, and the owner requested just a little bit of hair left, but I'm still gonna show you how to use clippers on them. I'm gonna use a 2 guard comb with a 40 blade setting for his ear. I'm gonna take his ear and spread it out flat in my hand. And then with the direction of the hair growth, I'm just gonna clipper all the way down to the edge of the ear. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the inside and just really make sure that I'm flattening out those skin flaps in there. This is what it looks like after we've done our clipper work. And for a contour ear, we want to just use our shears to clean up the edges in the shape of the dog's ear. I'm going to take my curved shears with an awareness of where the leather of his actual ear is. I'm just going to cut around to clean up those edges. The last thing I want to do is just blend this short length on the top of the head into the slightly longer length on the ears, and I'm going to do that with thinning shears. And all that I want to do is make sure that there's not any little cowlicks that are popping up, and it looks like a natural transition. Get this little long piece right in the front with my thinning shears so that it's blended. So there is our short contour ear. It's still got a little bit of personality and a little bit of fluff, but it's really short and low maintenance for a person who doesn't like a ton of hair on their dog. The owner likes the tail a little bit longer, but I'm still gonna clipper it. So I'm gonna use a 1 guard comb with a 40 underneath on my 5-in-1. And I'm just going to hold the tip of the tail and clipper around all sides until we have one uniform length all over. I'm going to leave just a tiny bit of extra fluff right at the tip just so that his tailbone doesn't stick out and look exposed. And I'm going to clean that up with my shears. Just want to make sure that I have a nice uniform length when he lifts his tail. Comb these pieces out and just lightly blend with thinning shears.